Today is Sunday, January 2nd, 2022. Time is 9:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Hello, friends, and Happy New Year to you. Dennis Nappy II here with Sixth Sense Media, and I'm going to be sharing my world events predictions for January of 2022. My sessions were actually done this morning, January 2nd, 2022, looking into the future using a process called controlled remote viewing to see what's going to happen in the news. What are the main events that will occur in the media for the month of January? See if I can predict the future again. And for those who've been following me through this journey, thank you so very much. My apologies last month. I did the session. I just didn't get to post the video of it just because December was just a hectic month between work and kids and COVID and school and all that stuff. I always have a lot on my plate. I'm going to quickly just share some feedback from November for those of you that were with me for the November session. What I found myself as I was going through my feedback from my November session, in just asking, I'm starting to ask the questions, why? When I do these world event sessions, why am I picking up on certain stories that really the stories I covered that I got hits on were pretty pointless? They didn't impact my life at all. They really didn't hold any value. They were interesting kind of, but things I wouldn't have even looked at normally. So, and I found myself wondering, is this just something that's so general that I'm not getting specific enough data that we can just say anything without using remote viewing and end up getting hits. I look at the more experienced viewers who get very specific, and there's no way that it's random stuff. And I say that not to be critical or hard on myself, but to force myself or encourage myself to grow as a viewer and get more detail in my data, because I don't want to be able to look at the data and say, well, that could be anything, or anybody could make that guess and get it right. I'll show you what I'm talking about here. I'm just going to real quick share my presentation from November. Again, this was done in October 2022, and these are my results from November 2022. Here's my slideshow here. So this is my feedback for November 2021. I'm saying 22. Hey, usually it's the other way around. So this was interesting. I had Strait of Gibraltar, which I couldn't find anything on it, but I had something. This was in the beginning where I was just writing whatever was coming to mind. I wasn't probing these for more information, but I had fish, flying fish, shortage, death, killed, contaminated water. There was a story here that published in November, on November 16th, artificial fish shortage feared. And this was in the Philippines. And this is a story, basically some government regulations were clamping down on fishing. And the fear was that it was going to cause a fish shortage. There wasn't an actual shortage of fish. Nothing was dying, but there was some kind of regulation that was causing a fish shortage. So I had the word fish and I had the word shortage. Is that what I was picking up on? Should I probe that for more information? I don't know. If that is in fact a hit, why? Why this story? With everything going on in the world, why is my focus drawn to this story? I'm wondering. This is interesting. I had something I titled a lightning strike here. I had this energy coming out of this that looked like a cloud here with some rain. I had the first fall, crack, echo. Is it a lightning strike? This is intense. And I wrote, does it hit a tree? And then I had on the other side of it, on the left side, hail, rain, bullets. This was pretty cool, actually. Lightning strikes a tree, damages Ashland apartment complex. The guy thought a transformer blew. And when you go through and you read this, it's about a tree that got hit. But at the bottom here, pieces of the tree went flying everywhere, smashing cars, windows, and rooftops. And over here, I had hail, rain, or bullets. So that's the debris that's flying through. So again, I had this prepared. I was going to go through this in more detail, but that's an image, some images of the event right here, as you can see. So it definitely fits. I'll count that as a hit. But why? Why am I seeing that out of everything that's going on in the world? What value does that hold really? And then this one here, it was like a woman reunited with her dog and it licks her face. Here's what's curious about this. I had at least 5 stories about a person getting reunited with their long lost dog, and I had more data on it. I couldn't find one that exactly fit, but I found a couple that were pretty close to the person I described and what had happened there. But I really found myself just kind of questioning, like, all right, I want to get more value out of my world events predictions. It's cool to say, hey, I saw the future, and it's neat when you get a specific story that you can say without a doubt, there's no way I could have known that or randomly guessed it. Because I want to know, is this my imagination? Am I getting lucky? I think I'm having target contact, actually, but who knows? So let me share my current session here with all of you. And again, I did this one this morning. And what's interesting about this, I did my tasking a little bit different for the very reasons I just talked about here. So it's 2022-0101, my world events for January 2022. And listen to my tasking here. Viewer will describe the major world events as reported in the media that occur and are reported in January 2022 and have value or meaning to those reviewing viewers' data. And that's really all of you. So I'm trying something a little bit differently. I'm adding you as the consumer of the product that I'm putting out here, your sentiment to it, basically. And maybe that'll get me some more interesting stories. So let's take a look at the data here that I pulled for this one. So here we go at the beginning. I was feeling pretty good today when I did it. And right off the bat, as I was just meditating beforehand, this is even before I started my formal structure of a remote viewing session, I just kept seeing this shape. It was like a round shape with something long coming downwards. And I had an AOL, the Seattle Space Needle, and I had this energy on the side of it, or glowing, reflecting, refracting, beam of light coming down. Feels like the ground level is moving up and outwards, and it was brown, like dust, debris, or smoke, as my AOL. I ended up labeling this event 1 because I went back and I probed it for more. I'm going to give that a try, because before I would just list all these ideas and I would get in and pull different events. I'm trying to get more specific here with my data. So let's see if this works this month. So I had this object there and with some downwards energy. I call this pre-stages, free form. My writing is horrendous today. Again, things just come to mind: Korean, Shanghai. I was getting this pyramid structure: Aztec pyramid, Mesoamerican, founding, fortitude, Spanish, conquistador. I labeled this event 2, and I had an AOL of a discovery. And I saw this pyramid, and it felt like there was jungle all around it. Pyramid and a jungle. And then I got this Asian field. Thailand. That's the country I was looking for. I couldn't write it down because I couldn't think, and I wanted to say Taiwan. Taiwan wasn't right. Thailand is the feel I had. So I had like Mesoamerican, and then I had like a Thailand feeling. Gray stone, fortified, and encampment is what I wrote here. Again, still in a pre-session. This is another one. I didn't probe this one any further, but I had this crowd sounds, many life forms. And again, this gold, it looked like a roadway or a passageway here. And I was seeing this gold roadway maybe this is connected to this one, and I'll explain that in a minute. But I saw this a few times throughout my session here. Busy, frustrated, brown skin, youth, encampment, male. And then I had an AOL of a Mennonite, not sure, but I didn't explore that any further. Don't know. So my event 1, so I went back to this first event, the Seattle Space Needle event. That's what I'm going to call it for now. And I did more of a formal session on it. Here's my ideogram. This is a unique ideogram. It was spiraling. It was curving downward. And this is the theme I saw in some of this. I'm interpreting this. Also, I labeled it as a movement, but I also see a structure in here and possibly life forms in this ideogram. It's a little bit complex. My S2, energetics, function, encampment. And I also labeled the structure there because I saw that at the top. And I had it as blocky, object, weighted. And then I listed gravity as my AOL. So then looking further, I saw this block that was just coming down, but it wasn't a total free fall. It felt controlled. And I had this blue energetics coming out of it, and it was coming down, and I got the sense that maybe it was spinning or tumbling. And I wrote moving downwards, not supposed to happen, but it's somehow controlled. So this wasn't planned or supposed to happen this way, but it happened, but somehow it was controlled. I had an AOL of an illusion, breakaway. And then A here. So I probed this object. I labeled it A on the next page here. And all of a sudden, again, I saw this stacked pyramid structure with like a blue ring around it. Again, that color blue. Feels like something coming down, but at the same time, it was like I was looking ahead in the distance and I saw a pyramid structure with something around it. I might be combining 2 different events here. We'll go on. But I had an AOL as this space related, and this AI had like, wow, an aerial phenomenon. And then I sensed like maybe storm clouds. I put that as an AOL. So I probed it a little further. Sketch described the most important aspect of this event. Had an AOL like a hero pilot. Function, functionality, division, separate. I had this sketch with this, felt like some kind of cloud, circular cloud, not a mushroom cloud, but a circular cloud in the middle. I think it was white. Movement, trajectory. And then my AI was like fear and wonder, shock, but excitement, a mix of emotions, confusion, a lack of understanding, spinning like a top. And again, for my AOLs, oppression, and then rocket. And then I probed A here. That's this circular, I'll say a cloud right here. And I had this widening, expanding, and I went, oh, wow, there's two of them, like one right on top of the other. Movement downwards, controlled, elevated, and I had an AOL of a demolition. Not sure what that is. Then I moved on to event 2. So look for some kind of object coming downwards. I don't know whether it's the Seattle Space Needle coming down or some building that comes down that's significant, or some kind of aerial structure, an aircraft or something space related coming down to the ground is what I'm going to say. Maybe something, maybe part of the space station or a spacecraft or a rocket launch, something coming downwards. But again, I still don't feel that that data was specific enough, but we'll see, once the results come out. So event 2, that was that pyramid structure that was the Mesoamerican or Thailand. And I had an AI. It was just, oh, wow. And there it is again. There's that yellow road. Follow the yellow brick road, path, pave the way. Again, this feeling of a discovery. So it was like this yellow road all the way down. And then there was this triangular pyramid shaped structure off in the distance. I had intelligent, intellectual, and flabbergasted. Here is my ideogram. And I had, again, oh, wow, there's a structure. And for some reason, I had window or windows, like you're not Windows, the operating system, but like that you look through. Windows to the world. My S2 was hard, blocky, rough, smooth, scraping sounds, rough to the touch. So like when you touched it, you heard like that, just that rough abrasive sound. And I had an AOL of like sandstone. This event is expanding. It feels positive and happy. I like the way it feels. That was my AI. It was a discovery. And had it as an AOL, I got the sense like alien. Not that it's necessarily alien, but I can see a lot of conspiracy theorists, myself included, tying this to ETs and UFOs, kind of like the ancient astronaut theory. Move to and describe the most important aspect of event 3. Spiral down structure. I saw a female life form, a woman. She was actually dressed in white. I labeled her as an AOL, as a priestess. I saw her standing on top of, I didn't draw it. I saw her standing on top of this structure, this female priestess dressed in white. And this drawing initially to me looked like an ocean liner, like I'm down looking up at it. But I went with just the raw data. I tried not to draw any conclusions to it. And here's what I got. I had this structure here. I had something at the bottom, either water or land. And I labeled A, which was the glow. Structure glowing, an object. I had an AOL of remorseful. So let's look at what A was. That glow, open, light, energetics, encampment, like mist or fog moving over a structure. It was thick, it was hard to see, it was ominous. It was spooky but exciting and captivating. Then for my B here, this structure itself, I got a little bit more data. I had moon, rising, sharp, tall, sure-footed, angled, and beveled. This looked like some kind of pyramid structure, and the top was broken off. And I wrote that for D here, or AI, I'm sorry, as if the top broke off. And I probed that further. This is D here. Well, let's look at C. C was hard, hollow. A road leads to this. I got that impression again. And here's the road that I drew. Where are we at here? That's the road that leads to it. I'm guessing that's what I was picking up on here. A road leads to this. I don't know why that's significant yet. And then we look at D, snap and tumble rolling down. So whatever the top of this structure was, it just, whenever it broke, I saw it rolling down, I guess, into the jungle around it. But looking inside of it, there was like a yellow disc, something glowing or shiny inside. Spherical disc, sun. It was radiating, pulsing. It was knowledgeable. I had an AOL of Brazil, and I only wrote Brazil as my AOL because really what I saw was like the green and white and a sphere shape reminded me of Brazil's flag. I didn't record that information, but that's why I wrote down Brazil. Maybe it's something else that I was recording or catching, but that's what it was. All right. So I moved to event 3. And I wrote, move to the most significant event of January 2022 and describe. Now, I don't define what makes an event significant, but I'm guessing it's what everybody is interested in and captivated by. So I had this again as movement, energetics, objects, tight, restricted. And I had an AOL of love, but an AI of sad. So I looked at this ideogram and I just felt like there was this tightness. I think it was emotional tightness here. Tight, love, thoughts, slow moving. And I had an AOL of an embrace and movie. And now this got bigger here. And I had this as an event around a person. It was expanding and widening. It was getting worse or bigger. It was like I was seeing this story just get bigger. So it was an event involving a well-known person that grows bigger through the media. This is not what is most important, but it consumes a lot of attention. So I saw this as like a public figure. I think possibly a celebrity, the more I think about it, somebody who's well known. And the more that comes out, like the story just keeps getting bigger and doesn't necessarily warrant all that attention because there's more important things going on, but it consumes a lot of attention. Had an AOL of a scandal or a fallout. And I wrote, but there is love here. Illicit, illegal, forbidden. Is it a sex scandal? And I wrote down Epstein and Maxwell just because I know that the Maxwell case, she just got found guilty. So that came to mind, not as really remote viewing data, just I had to write it down so I don't go off onto an AOL exploring some Epstein Maxwell thread that's all in my head. But I did get back to my data here. A male life, saddened, Caucasian. Again, there's the embrace. And I thought, is there a child involved? And I had a man kneeling on a knee and a small child. Dada, this child's next to him. And then all of a sudden, as I probed this sketch of a child here, I got an AI. Something isn't right here. I don't know what it was. The child didn't really perceive that there was something wrong, but something wasn't right. This guy was a father figure. I felt love coming from this man's heart. Move to the most important aspect of this event and describe. Again, I put down Clinton as a total guess because we know he's mixed up in all that stuff. And I don't know if that's what it's going to come down to. We have endearing, endangering, engender, fixated, frustrated, white male. White male that says 60 plus, gray hair. I don't know why I wrote down the word Molotov. Was that Molotov cocktail or Molotov? Was I really hearing like Mazel Tov? I don't know. And then I went to describe the male life: fixed, focused, engineered, designed, structured, organized. And then I've got expensive cologne. This guy was well-to-do. He was wealthy. He was very clean cut, wealthy, expensive taste. And I saw him, blue suit, ankles exposed. That's one of those suits you see men wearing now where, they're not wearing socks. They're wearing the loafers and, you can see their ankles. I just got that sense. This guy was well-dressed, very clean. But he had darker hair. I had sexy, attractive, something emotionally disappointing. Dark hair, tan, sexy voice, appealing, and well-liked. And as I looked at that, information, I thought about it because at one point I had this guy in his 60s, and the next I had this young, attractive guy. As I'm analyzing it later and processing this data in my mind, I think what I was seeing was this older gentleman, and maybe images of him from the past are brought up, where he's younger, sexy, well-dressed, could possibly be an actor, a political figure. I don't know. I had some ideas in my head, but I really don't want to put that out there because it's not strong enough, and I'd hate to be wrong and say something so terrible about somebody. So I'm not going to do that. But look for that. We'll see. Hopefully, that's one I hope is wrong. But we'll see what comes of it. I just did the 3 events, and at that point, my children came in and decided to have an argument right next to me. So that was the end of my session. But let me know your thoughts. I really do, as the month goes on. I love getting your feedback. It's very helpful to me, and I've really come to enjoy engaging with all of you out there that participate in this every month as this continues to grow. I have some really fun remote viewing projects that I've been a part of over the past month and a half, 2 months that I'll be working on putting out some publications. I'm involved in a few projects right now. I don't know what the targets are, but it's some incredible data, and I'm really enjoying that experience. I'm also finding that some of these more woo-woo targets I'm working, I'm growing in really interesting and exciting ways in some of the data that I'm encountering, some of the experiences that I'm having as a viewer. It's stuff I read about as a kid. So I'm really thankful for this process now. I'm also using remote viewing. I'm trying to see how I can use remote viewing in my own personal life to gather advice on making decisions. It's an experiment. I share some of that with you. I'm not able to share all of it because some of it's pretty personal. But I'm looking at different ways where I can do a session where I can word my tasking in a way that, although it's front-loaded, it's not front-loaded. It's a challenge, but I'm finding that I'm getting insight from these personal sessions. Maybe they're kind of like divination sessions, but and whether that's just a way, like a meditation for me, a way to focus my thoughts and understand what's going on internally, or maybe I'm actually getting data from out there. I'm not sure yet, but I know that in some of my sketches with them, um, as time goes on, events play out that match those sketches that I could not have possibly anticipated. So I think it's a combination of everything going on, but it's a fun experiment as I am trying to find the limits and boundaries and techniques that work best for me with remote viewing. So as always, I greatly appreciate all of you and your commentary and support. I'll have a lot more coming out in 2022 in a lot of different areas as well. So look for some stuff about my Reiki journey as I'm continuing to improve that craft of mine as well. And I've got some podcasts that I'm lining up. I'm working on one tied into the new Matrix, the metaverse, and a remote viewing session that ties it all together that I think is fascinating. So I'm trying to work on that this week for all of you. So look for that to come in the near future as well. And that's going to do it. So happy New Year to all of you, my friends. I hope you stay safe and healthy and continue to grow this year in 2022, despite the challenges that we're facing. What can we do to make this a great year and learn from these challenging experiences? That's kind of the journey that I'm on right now. So Dennis Nappy II here with Sixth Sense Media. Remember to never stop questioning, keep an open mind, and let your intuition be your guide. Thank you.